Welcome to Sports Bet Daily. I'm Flash and I'm filling in for the lovely Natalie Van Rydstrom, who's having a holiday. Well-deserved holiday, I would say, after the season we've just seen. English Premier League, Man City, back-to-back winners. Liverpool going so close and pushing them right to the end, but their season's not over. We'll have a look with the Champions League, Liverpool versus Tottenham. We've also got Arsenal and Chelsea to go through, and let's not forget the Championship. But first of all, I'm got Martin Green and got Dave Betts with me. How are you, chaps?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Just about recovered from a pulsating final day of action in the Premiership and looking forward to European finals and the big Championship playoff games.
Dave,
yeah,
was
mate, I'm
anything
good. Other than
surprise you in
having to
this
write
year in the Premier
articles
League?
about Aston Villa.
Sorry, Dave?
But I said I'm cool. Other than having to write articles about Aston Villa every week, I'm doing good.
Yeah, well, we'll go on to the Championship. What about the season gone by? Did anything really shape up, or anything really knock you out your stride?
Championship-wise, nah, not at all. I expected Villa. To do well. In all fairness, they probably should have gone up last season, but yeah, they pulled things together. Obviously, Grealish, the captain, he's done a great job. They have one more task ahead of them, which we don't know who they'll be playing because that game's on in half an hour. Leeds versus Derby. But yeah, I think that we'll see Villa in the Premier League next year, and all the other results really, yeah, other than maybe what's it called? Ipswich being rock bottom was not. I didn't expect Ipswich to come in rock bottom, but yeah.
Martin,
yeah,
what about you with
no
the Premier
huge
League?
shockers this season, I don't think.
With the Premier League, it kind of panned out as I expected it to. I think at the start of the campaign, Chelsea looked like they might fight their way into contention for the title, but they fell apart pretty quickly. I thought Cardiff surprised me. I thought they would finish rock bottom of the table, but they battled a lot harder than I expected them to. Also, Fulham, I thought with the amount of money that they spent, they might be good for at least the mid-table finish, but just goes to show that throwing money at a problem doesn't always pan out. So that was a bit of a surprise. I fully expected Huddersfield to go down. But yeah, I always expected Man City and Liverpool to battle for the title. I thought Man City would win it a bit more comfortably than they did in the end, but full credit to Liverpool for pushing them all the way. Their points tally would have been enough to win the Premier League any other season apart from this one and the previous campaign. More points than Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, any have ever racked up. So they can count themselves very unfortunate. But as you say, they've got a big European final to look forward to, and their season's not over. And I think they'll fully challenge again next time around.
I thought the big thing about the title race this year was you cannot take anything away from Man City. You've just got to give all the plaudits to Liverpool for getting maybe 24 points more than they did last year. Now, do we think that Liverpool can turn it around and stop Man City going 3 in a row next year? Dave?
I think a lot depends. Oh.
Dave?
Sorry. Yeah. Liverpool. Yeah. I'm not sure. We need to wait. Obviously, we need to see the transfers go through and, you know, coaching, staff management. We need to see how that pans out heading into the new season. But Man City, you know, Pep, he's done the best job. And I'm not. There's been 1 point difference this season. Next season, I'm not sure Man City will lose 4 games. I think they might go into next season even stronger and possibly finish with just the 1 loss like Liverpool did this year.
Martin, come to you now. Do we look at the games coming up, and we've obviously got the Champions League final and the Europa League final, all English clubs. Do we think that this is a trend that might stick with us over the next few years?
I think so, yeah. It's a great sign that the Premier League's back and ready to dominate Europe once more. We've had Spanish teams really in the ascendancy for the past 5 seasons, but I think it's always surprised me that English teams have struggled so much. When you consider the amount of money that's in the English game now, I think we can see English teams dominating for several years. I mean, Man City are a phenomenal team. I think it's about time for them to turn it on in Europe. They've won back-to-back titles now, and that could be their priority next time around, which could open the door for Liverpool to have a crack at the Premier League. But yeah, I fully expect English teams to be in the ascendancy for a while now. I think that with the big six in the Premier League, there's such good teams now that the two that don't make it into the Champions League are going to be the favourites for the Europa League pretty much year in, year out. So I think we could see a lot more English teams in Europa League finals, and it really wouldn't surprise me if there's more to come from the English in the Champions League. Yeah.
Dave, if I take the top six out, do you think the likes of Newcastle, West Ham, or Leicester, who were so impressive towards the end of the season, that they could sort of upset that sort of 4 or 5 teams outside of Liverpool and Man City?
I do. And so, do you know who sticks out to me? Who always just miss that 6, and that's Everton. I mean, Everton year in, year out, they are not the worst side. They are a real good side, and they're always finishing somewhere, 7th, 8th, 9th. See, every season, Everton are above mid-table. And obviously Wolves as well. Wolves, they finished 7th. Yeah, 7th. I think Wolves finished with, how many points were they short of United? I think they were short of United about 8 or 9 points. And that was their first season back in the Premier League. So heading into the next season, I think Wolves might be a threat, depending on how they, can figure out the issues that they've had this season across the summer. If one of them big 6 fall short, there are definitely a few teams that can snatch that up. West Ham, another one, finishing 10th, and obviously former champions Leicester. Yeah, there are sides that could easily take that spot in the top 6.
Martin, when we look at the futures, I know we've got a lot of things, a lot of water to go under the bridge with obviously transfers and comings and goings. Man City, I think around 1.75, maybe 1.8 in a place. Would you jump on that now?
I'm not sure I would, considering I wouldn't be able to double my money and I'd have to wait all season for a payout. I do think it'll be between Man City and Liverpool. Can't see Man United closing the gap over the summer. The same goes with Chelsea. It's a bit of a mess. Arsenal, no way. Maybe Tottenham, but I doubt they're going to get the investment they require. So I can see it being between those two, but yeah, I'm just not sure there's really the value there right now. I'd maybe look at Liverpool. It all depends on the motivations of Guardiola and the Man City team next season, whether they really want to go for the 3rd league title in a row or they're going to really push for Europe. I think that's becoming a bit of a blot on Pep Guardiola's CV. Hasn't won the Champions League since he was at Barcelona, and it's probably time for them to really go and dominate Europe now. So that would be the one that I'd be looking at, maybe Champions League futures for Man City. But yeah, I think there's a lot of value to look forward to already. Obviously, we need to see how it pans out, but I think there'll be a lot of interest in the relegation futures already. Probably quite a few people going on Brighton now that they've sacked Chris Hughton. And yeah, I think it'll be fascinating. People will be looking at top 6 finishes for Wolves, perhaps, like Dave just mentioned. You can bet on who's going to finish in the top half. I think there'll be some good value there, and yeah, I think it's going to jump around a lot all summer. So we've got plenty to talk about over the next couple of months.
Dave, before we actually go on and have a look at the playoff picture of the teams that are obviously already gone up in Norwich and Sheffield United, do you think either have got a chance to stay up?
That is a tough one. Wow, we always see it every year where, there'll probably be one successful team out of the 3 promoted that will manage to either make an impact or stay up. Out of the 3, let's hypothetically speaking, let's say Aston Villa go up this year. From Villa, Norwich, and Sheffield, from them 3, I think I hate saying it, but I think Villa, if their form,
no, don't say it.
The second half of their season rolls over, if that form rolls over and they can,
it won't.
Yeah,
It won't.
put
I
on
don't
the
even think they'll
same
qualify. So
them
don't even
same
worry. Sleep
performances.
easy.
I really do
Dave,
think
just
that
sleep
Villa
easy.
can
The
do
Villa are
something in the
not going to
Premier
win
League.
nothing. I think the winner of the team that gets promoted will come out of tonight's game of Leeds and Derby. Villa, no. So just relax.
I hope so. I really do hope so.
But I definitely think that Norwich are probably the team that I think were probably more equipped than Huddersfield were in their first year. They've got a great spine, they've got a great spirit, they've got good pace around the place, and they score goals. And you know what it's like. Huddersfield went down because they didn't score goals. And if you can score goals in that first season, then you will stay up. And I think Norwich have probably got the best opportunity at the moment. But obviously, we're talking prior to recruitments in the summer. Now, obviously, we've got the championships coming up. Martin, just in a quick word, out the playoffs, who do we fancy will go up?
I think it will be Leeds versus Aston Villa in the final, and I think that'll be a cracking game. I was surprised to see Leeds fall away after starting the season in such blistering form. They look like one of the best teams the Championship has ever seen in the opening weeks of the season. They have really tailed off, but I still think they might be able to pull it out the bag against Derby. And then it will be a fascinating final. Aston Villa have got all the momentum. They're in great form. But in a one-off game, it doesn't really count for much. I could maybe see Leeds sneak in that one. It looks like a good game though. I'd maybe look at both teams to score in that. But yeah, I think Leeds can get past Derby tonight and end up going up.
Yeah, I agree a lot with that. What about you, Dave?
I don't know. There's something there telling me that we're going to see Villa go up. And as much as it pains me to keep talking about them, I think that we'll see them in the Premier League next season, and hopefully they go straight back down. I'm hoping they have a similar season to Huddersfield. 16 points would be great, and Villa crashing out next season would be a sight to see. But yeah, I think Villa win this and Villa do well in the Premier League. Unfortunately,
well, I personally, when I was looking at this and thought of the four teams, you gave me four guesses. I'd come up different every single time. I think that we see penalties at Wembley. I really do. It doesn't matter if Derby or Leeds get there. I think we go to penalties again. Now, talking of tight games and going to penalties, what are the chances, Dave? Liverpool versus Tottenham in Madrid.
It's a funny place to have the game, I must say. I would have thought, yeah. I don't know. I want to say Liverpool based on their form. Everyone's going to be saying Liverpool. But as we know, you may as well call this with them top six teams. They're all like local derby. They're all rivalry games, aren't they? Really, they're all rivalry games. And if I was to make a prediction on that game, I would not be able to pick a side. I'd probably take. I'm assuming the value is always Spurs, so I'd probably take Spurs. Just have to be a value pick, because when I'm trying to handicap or break down these two teams, it's near enough impossible for such when so much is at stake. When you've got the Champions League Cup sat in front of you, what are you? Everything changes. Everything changes for these cup games, and yeah, I think form and statistics just go out the window for these sort of competitions. I'd go with
Martin,
under 2.5.
Go on then. Who are you going to go with?
Under 2.5 goals.
Yeah.
What about you, Martin? Can you split them?
I can't live in a world where Tottenham are champions of Europe. That just cannot be allowed to happen. This has got to be a Liverpool win. They beat them home and away in the Premiership this season. Both games were reasonably tight. Tottenham can count themselves unfortunate to have lost the one at Wembley, certainly. But I think Liverpool, in terms of overall quality, I think they just about shade it. Tottenham, obviously, phenomenal going forwards, particularly if Harry Kane is fit. very, very solid at the back. But I think Liverpool are very strong in both of those departments too, and they would have the edge in midfield. I'd fancy Fabinho, Keita to get the better of the likes of Sissoko and Wanyama, whoever plays in the middle there for Spurs. So, yeah, I can see Liverpool winning that one, and I might be tempted to back them in 90 minutes at 2.05.
See, I look at it and I think to myself, we've got the Championship playoffs that I think could go to penalties. I think the Champions League final could go to penalties, in which case I do this quite a lot. I bet both teams to win on penalties, which is normally about 11, somewhere around that. And then we go to the Europa Cup final with another two English sides. Try and split these two, Arsenal and Chelsea. Martin?
Well, I went to the last time these two played in a final at Wembley, and I was fully expecting Arsenal to get thrashed. Chelsea had just been crowned champions of England and they were in fine form, but Arsenal pulled out a great performance then, beat them 2-1 and thoroughly deserved it. Since then, Chelsea have gone backwards, and I'd say Arsenal are about the same. You never quite know what's going to happen. It's going to be 11 p.m. in Azerbaijan that they kick off, so I think concentration will be important. I think we could see quite a lot of defensive errors in this game. I'd certainly be looking at both teams to score in the over 2.5 goals or something like that. But yeah, it is very, very difficult to split them. Hard for me being an Arsenal fan to put my personal feelings about it aside. But yeah, from a betting perspective, I'd be looking at goals markets. If I'm forced to go for the outrights, I want to go for Arsenal. I can't understand why they're such huge underdogs when Chelsea have had a bad season and there's not a great deal separating them in terms of quality. There's a lot of value on Arsenal there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more as it goes. I think that Arsenal are the value. And if any team is going to win it outside or inside the 90 minutes, then I think Arsenal, they score too many goals. Dave, would you find any reason to go with Chelsea in this?
Yeah, pretty much what I was highlighting before about the top six and how most of them are rivalry games. Well, this is a London rivalry, and I think either side giving up a loss in 90 minutes would be very painful. So I can see maybe a goal from each side. I can't see either team winning in the 90 minutes. And once again, same as my bet before, which I seem to be very successful on, is the under when either so much is at stake or if it's a local derby game. I really do love the under 2.5 goals in a lot of these situations, just based on what's at stake and rivalries within the clubs. Then nobody wants to lose a rivalry, let alone when a cup is on the line. So.
Yeah, no one's going to want to lose, though. That's my big thing about all of these. The playoffs, the Champions League final, the Europa final. They're all going to be so tight. I mean, we're not even covered how Liverpool and Tottenham actually even got there. I mean, the unscripted drama of the last few weeks around the world watching these games, it's just been everything that we love. Martin, what about that? Have you ever seen a week like that?
No, it was amazing entertainment, two stirring performances. I think the atmosphere inside Anfield was like nothing I've ever really seen before. They were just roaring their team on and just going absolutely ballistic every time Barcelona got the ball. It was like spine-tingling stuff, and as soon as a couple of goals went in, the atmosphere was just amazing in there. We have seen a lot of impressive comebacks recently. There was Barcelona's 6-1 against PSG, so we have seen it a few times, but I just think in terms of the drama and the way both teams scraped through, it was just phenomenal. You rarely see it in both games. Kudos to Tottenham as well. They were 1-0 down, and they were 3-0 down on aggregate, and they pulled it out of the bag and scraped through. Good luck to them. But yeah, I think after that tremendous feat of toppling Barcelona, the momentum's got to be with Liverpool now.
Dave, did you ever see Tottenham coming back when they were 2-0 down in Amsterdam?
I didn't see Liverpool coming back. I didn't see Tottenham coming back. I didn't see this happening at all. It's been the craziest weeks in football that we've probably seen in years. How two English clubs can come back from base. Everyone had already counted them out. Liverpool as well. Before that game had even started, I didn't see nobody. Unless you show me a ticket that you placed that bet, I'm not interested in you telling me that you took Liverpool because I didn't see anybody other than somebody that works with us at Odds Market place that bet on Liverpool, and I certainly didn't see anybody place them bets on Tottenham. Just you couldn't have predicted that. No, it's one of them it'd be one of them bets that you just put on for a laugh. Do you know what I mean? Because the odds are so high, and you can just throw a little 20 quid on it and get loads back. It's one of them. It's just a joke. It would have been a joke bet. I would have looked at that on Willing and laughed. I would have looked at that on Bet365 and laughed. There was no chance I would have ever betted either of them, but look what happened. Eh? It was absolute madness.
Okay, well, as we're just going all like overboard on how brilliantly Tottenham have done, Martin, wrap me up on your three selections, please, for the winner of the playoffs, the winner of the Champions League, and the winner of the Europa League.
Oh, good question. I think I'm going to have to go with Leeds, although I think it'd be a very tight game with them and Aston Villa. It's got to be Liverpool for me. And I think Tottenham have been underrated the whole season. They've done really well. But Liverpool should have a psychological advantage, got a great recent record against Spurs, and I think they can get the job done in 90 minutes. Very, very difficult to split Chelsea and Arsenal. I'd be looking at both teams to score there at 1.8. But if forced to go for one, I'd go for Arsenal. There's a lot more value on them.
Dave, what are yours?
Well, start at the top. Champions League. Yeah, Liverpool. I would side with Liverpool winning it. How? I'm not so sure. Maybe penalties, like you suggested, and I love your idea of backing the penalties as well. At them good odds, both teams to win penalties. That's a great idea. I might actually tail that and copy that bet. So yeah, I think Liverpool will scrape it. It won't. In fact, everything I say, if anybody's betting, just do the opposite because it's been that crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if Tottenham went up 2-0 and Liverpool win 4-2 because it's been ridiculous. But yeah, I'll take Liverpool. Aston Villa, as much as that pains me to say, I think we'll see them in the Premier League. And I like Arsenal to shock everyone because everyone gives Arsenal loads of crap and then they turn around and smash in 3 or 4 goals. So yeah, I'll take Arsenal just based on that form right now.
Okay, well, I'm just gonna say to you that the Championship playoff, I think there's nothing between the 3 sides that are in, and obviously we'll be down to 2 this time tomorrow. But I'm just gonna go with penalties, either side to win on penalties. I'm gonna do exactly the same in the Champions League, and I'm gonna go for Arsenal to win the. I think that we could see Arsenal and Tottenham both winning the European trophies this season, but I'm just going to go with penalties one way, and I'm going to go with Arsenal to win the Europa Cup, and then obviously in North London it'll be like you've won the silly cup and we've won the big cup.
Can't bear that.
Anyway,
listen,
I know it's gonna. We've got a mad couple of weeks ahead. Mad couple of weeks. The biggest game on earth. Not quite the biggest game on turf. The biggest game on earth is obviously the biggest reward for a side outside the Premier League. The riches and the dreams that are fulfilled by winning promotion to the Premier League from Wembley. And then obviously we've got the 2 big games, one in Madrid and one in Baku. But good luck, gents. I look forward to speaking to you both soon. Martin, Dave, thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.
Flash. Have a good one, mate.
Cheers. Good luck. May all your bets be winners. Good. That's and now we're going to go over. We've got Craig Edwards. Craig, you watch a big smile on my face now because golf is the biggest passion in my life. When I was a professional footballer and I retired, I wanted to become a professional caddy. So I went and done the ropes and obviously didn't get on the right bag. But Craig, major time. Bethpage Black. Does it get any better than this?
Well, it's great to have a major 4 weeks after the Masters. Suddenly they've changed the schedule, and no, it doesn't. Tiger Woods going here straight from winning the Masters. It doesn't get any better than this. Going to a place he won the US Open. If he's going to have an Indian summer, it's going to be now. It'll be now or never, because obviously his body's struggling with the back injury and the strain it puts on it. But I've got an odd feeling that if he's at the top of the leaderboard come Sunday afternoon, I've got a feeling the rest could fall in a heap. And you know, the way he won the Masters against the two modern day winners, Brooks Koepka and Francesco Molinari. I don't include Rory and Dustin in that. They were the guys winning the tournaments last year, and they were the guys at the peak of their mental powers, and suddenly they fell in a heap at the Masters. And so if suddenly Tiger Woods gets top of the leaderboard, that myth, he could just string that myth out a little bit further and perhaps sneak another major quickly.
Well, Tiger Woods, one of my all-time heroes, obviously, and I have a son who's obviously been on a scholarship for golf in America. His hero, Tiger Woods, inspired a complete generation. He's almost set the tone for all these golfers coming through. But let's leave the golfers apart for a minute, and we'll go to that. But set the scene of Bethpage Black, 7,500 yards. Rough.
Yeah. And
it's like only got one par 3 under 200 yards. Take it away, Craig.
Well, in 2002, when they first used it here, some of the professionals couldn't get to the fairway. They couldn't reach the fairway at the 10th, and they were complaining. So you've got a situation where your players must have length off the tee. There is not going to be a hiding place for them, and especially this week, because apparently in New York, there's been quite a wet weather front, and so the ground's not dry. It's not going to be running far. Yeah, they are going to have a monster on their hands this week. It's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how difficult the US PGA set the course up. I mean, they may get it, they may tinker with it as the tournament progresses, because obviously they like to have a lower winning score than, for argument's sake, the US Open will in a few weeks. So if it's a US Open course, it would be tricked up significantly more, I would guess. But it looks a beast to me. It looks like you want players that can hit the ball far off the tee and pretty accurately as well. I mean, you know, not a lot of run. I mean, Tiger's perfect, obviously. I mean, that's in his remit. And then they've got Brooks Koepka. Francesco may struggle a bit now. You'd think Rory and Dustin, they must be high on the list, because they've got the effortless power. They're going to be able to get it round, not be so fatigued. The other thing is this week, it's the walk, it's undulating. So on the wet weather, you've got a situation where it's a 9-mile walk. Some of the professionals are going to be tired by the time they've played 18 holes. So the lads that are the effortless power lads are going to take less out of themselves. So I'm concentrating on them. I do think there's a couple down the markets that are quite interesting. I think the Dane, Lucas Bregard, who played well at the Masters, he only finished about 21st, but most of the week he was in the top 10. And I put him up at the time for top European. He just managed to squeak some place money. But he's been playing quite well in America, a bit erratically, but he did beat Tiger Woods in the World Match Play that in the quarterfinals. That must give him some kind of confidence. You know yourself, a professional sportsman, you need to prove to yourself that you can do it at the biggest level. So that's a help. He's a big price. I mean, I put him up in top European again in the market, but some of the bookmakers are betting 10 places. You could easily have each way at 175 to 1. And there's no one longer off the tee in Europe than Lucas Bregard. So, you know, he should fit this course, even though he's never played it before.
It's fair to say, isn't it, that this course, if you've got form around there, it's a massive, massive advantage. And I'm trying to be clever, and I'm looking, and there's a couple of ones. First of all, Lucas Glover, former winner. He's had 11 top 20s this season. Yeah. I think he's 4.6 to finish in the top 20. And if I'm not wrong, he's course record holder.
Yeah, and I think I put him up in my write-up. I didn't tip him in Top American because in Top American he felt a little bit short to me, but he looks to have a solid chance. If you were, like you say, betting the place markets, Flash, he's a perfect candidate. He's been so consistent. He's since winning the US Open, he then won the Wells Fargo, and he's been in a bit of a slump since. He's been really erratic. The odd high-level performance, but usually quite poor. But like you say, these last few months, the level of consistency he's found and the ease with which he's playing these 4-round tournaments and not taking anything out of himself, I won't be surprised if he's actually at the top of the leaderboard Sunday, but he's definitely a good bet to be in the top 20.
He's 111. Definitely. He's 111 on the outrights, and the majority of bookies are actually going first 10. That's whenever a bookie's going first 10, that tells you. And this has always been the major where it does throw a little bit of a curveball in, but you've got to bring back. You've got to bring back. We're at Bethpage Black here, and I've seen Matthew Fitzpatrick has sent a few tweets out, pictures. The rough is up. And with the rain they've had Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I say the rough is up, but the rough will lay down. In whenever the ball will get under it, and you'll be getting flyers, they'll be chunky. I mean, I think there's going to be plenty good value. And the other one I was going to throw at you was Martin Keimer, former, obviously, US Open winner. And he shot a 66 on the last day of the British Masters. And I went round Wentworth with Martin Keimer a few years ago, and he always said to me, bet me when the course is at its toughest. So it's just another one of those that's got the game.
Well, he is. And, I mean, you'll remember, Flash, that he won the Players' Championship. He won the PGA Championship before that. And then he won the US Open, didn't he, straight after the Players?
Yeah.
And he was a proper closer. If he got in the van, he was finishing the job every single time. And then he went to Abu Dhabi. I think he led by 8 shots with 10 holes to play and got pipped on the line. Right. Now, you'll know yourself from professional sport, when that happens, it really rocks the foundations of your mind and who you are. He's never actually recovered when he's been in contention since. The guy has a lot of class, and you would expect that at some point or other, he's going to get back and he's going to get over it. I mean, he's got the German mentality like Bernard Langer. I noticed how he's good last round last week, and he's one of them people now that he could come out of nowhere, hit the lead, and he'd win, because I think really that was a freak circumstance when he lost that lead, but it definitely rocked him. It's taken the wind out of his sails for a few years now. I think it's probably 3 years ago. But he is a class player, and a course like this that puts a premium on accuracy, it's going to wear you out you need that little bit of extra class sometimes to win these tournaments, and wouldn't surprise me. It's a good one actually. From there'll be quite a bit of value in Martin Keimer when he hits the front again, because he'll probably get the job done.
Yeah, I mean, I always think that it's a bit of a hangover for he tried to change his swing. He's always been a fader of the ball, and he tried to bring in a draw just for Augusta, because everyone knows that although I'm English and the Open is the Open, everyone wants to win at Augusta. Everyone wants to put that green jacket on, and he tried to change, and I think that put him back. Now, I watched obviously the PGA last week, Craig, and Brooks Koepka. He's had 3 majors in a handful of them, and he looks so balanced. Surely this course is just tailor-made for him.
I think it is. I think it must be tailor-made for Brooks. I think the only thing against him, for whatever reason, his strike rate was so high last year, winning, that perhaps now it's just evening out, that he's been in the van quite a bit this last year and he hasn't won. I wouldn't fancy him to win toe-to-toe with Tiger Woods. I mean, he has been impressive the way he's won. Make no mistake, so I'm not being critical in any way, shape or form of him. But he has quite a close relationship with Tiger Woods. And my feeling is he may have a little bit of hero worship going on. So if they get toe to toe, that may not help him. But Brooks Koepka, he is a winner, and his return compared to Dustin Johnson is, you're going to put him above Dustin Johnson in your own mind when you're looking for the winner. Although obviously Dustin Johnson is a high level player. I mean, my God, he hits the ball miles and he's perfect as well. Just a similar sort of player. But Brooks Koepka, you would think he can't be out of the top 10, can he?
No, not for me. And I look at these and I try to, before I pick which players I'd want to be with, I pick the players I don't want to be with. And I don't want to be with Rory because Rory, I think it's a monkey on his back. He just feels like the pressure. I must. And then even though it's Thursday afternoon, he has a couple of dodgy putts and all of a sudden everything goes out the window. Whereas we know that you can only lose it on Thursday. You can't actually win it. Dustin doesn't hit enough fairways for me, especially around this type of golf course. I mean, there's another one I was going to throw in. It's probably over 200 not to 1. Was Brian Harman. But his length scares me.
Do you know, I've backed Brian Harman myself, and again I put him in the write-up for top American, and I put him in the write-up. It was between 3 players for top American: him, Duffner, and Lucas Glover. Yes, his length is a concern. I think if the course was running out a bit further, I'd like Brian Harman because he played so well in the US Open the other year. And that was I think that was the one that Brooks Koepka won. I think it was his first one, and he looks perfect for this course. But maybe we need the course to be a little bit drier and probably just not putting so much emphasis on his lack of length. And but again, he's one for the place markets. I think there's some firms you can get 250 to 1, 10 places. There's worse bets. I mean, the bookmakers are paying a tenth of the odds. That's 50 to 1 the place. It'll be, if he only gets placed at 25 to 1 your money.
No, I like that. So what are your plays?
Yeah, I like it. And I like the market top American because then he doesn't have to win it. Although the problem is we are thinking that Tiger Woods is going to win it, which means he can only get placed in top American market. And he's got Brooks Koepka and Dustin Johnson. So you could do with him being in top European market. Then we would have a bet probably. But he's
get 250 to 1.
He was high on my list when I looked at my notes for the course. Brian Harman was a player that I was looking to back weeks ago, and so you're spot on, Flash. For me, it wouldn't surprise me if he came out of nowhere and won it because, like you said previously in the PGA, there has been the occasional freak winner, although it's been in August previous year, so in a different stage of the season. You've had Rich Beam, Yang win it. John Daly famously won it, didn't he, when he was his first start as a professional. So, you do see the occasional upset in the PGA Championship, but with the course playing so long this week and so difficult, it's difficult to see, isn't it, without a player with extreme length, really.
So if I had to scale you down for your bets for this week, what would they be?
Right, well, the best value bets, I like Woods. He's drifting now. He's out to 14 and 15 in places. I like Woods. I quite like Bubba Watson. He's been playing under the radar this season. He's been playing more consistent than he ever plays. He's constantly in the gym working out. So he's obviously more dedicated than he's been probably in previous years. So I'm thinking Bubba Watson, and he nearly got in contention on the back 9 at Augusta this last month. I did tip him for that. He nearly got in contention for that. 3 top 20s here. It wouldn't take a lot with his length to be in the mix, and he's the sort of player who can win. If you get him in the mix, he can either shoot 80 or he'll win. And I think the reason is that he wins, he's like Angel Cabrera. He's got that effortless class and that effortless length, and that'll be suited to this course like Augusta, and they'll need it this week. So he's the player I like. I did like Sergio Garcia, and I do like his chances. he's just missed his last 6 cuts in major championships, which is it's kind of difficult to get your head around, really. I mean, Sergio don't even miss that many cuts in any case, let alone his last 6. But that should mean he's due a good performance, and he has played well here before. He has that effortless length and accuracy off the tee, which will be needed. And the other one I thought about was Louis Oosthuizen, the South African. His return, you think he's probably going to end his career with more than one major, more than the one Open. He's often in contention. He's been under the radar all season like Bubba Watson, playing well, hardly finishing out the top 10 or top 20. So, as you know, Flash, it may just be a case of a little tweak with the putting stroke, couple of putts go in. You know, it can make the difference of 6 shots, a putt and a half around, and that can be enough to win the tournament. So I like them, but as a sports fan, I would quite like to see Tiger Woods win as well this week, because it would be something quite special for him to come back. I wasn't one of them people that were jumping on the bandwagon of, you know, when he was misbehaving and what have you. I think he'd had the oddest upbringing, been in the limelight from child prodigy from 5. There's a price to pay sooner or later. People come off the rails a little bit, and I think in general he's a marvellous sportsman. I've never seen how, if you play golf like I do, Flash, for the way he dominated golf, will anyone ever be able to do that again? You know, he was just superb down the stretch. You know, and we saw it again at Augusta.
Because of his success.
Sorry, Flash.
It's because of his success. He's just lifted the bar, and everyone's had to go and reach for it, join it, and try and go by it. I mean, everything that he did, he was the only one doing it. Yes, now, if you're not doing it, then forget it.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has set the bar so high. I still think the players, I must believe that the way he won at Augusta, that was quite reminiscent of how he used to win, where he just played super solid, final round, and the other players just wilted in the end. And, you know, Brooks Koepka and Francesco, they haven't been wilting anywhere, have they? Not been...
No,
you know,
no, they haven't. The thing is, right, we've only got 24 hours to wait until it starts. I'm going to add to your bets. I'm going to go for Lucas Glover around 110, maybe bigger in places. I'm definitely doing Lucas Glover top 20 at 4.6. Keimer and Brooks Koepka alongside Tiger Woods. And good luck to us. I'll be surprised if we sat here
next week and we haven't got plenty of players in the mix with them. I would be very surprised with the length of this course.
Yeah, I look forward to chatting on that. Now, away from that, let's go back 3 weeks to Judd Trump winning at the Crucible. How has Judd Trump not won the World Championship before? We saw him come onto the scene 2011. Everyone was saying Judd Trump won all over the world, and yet when he wins this, it's quite astounding. And you forget it's his first win.
Yeah, it's amazing. He's amazing. He's just under 30 now. It's taken him so long to mature. I've been taken aback by 2 of his performances this season. The Masters final against Ronnie, he butchered Ronnie in a way that when Ronnie came to play him a couple of months later, there was still a hangover in Ronnie's game. Even though Ronnie got up on the line to beat him, he frightened Ronnie. Because he, like you just said there, he's played to such a high standard. He's moved the bar at that standard. If he retains it, of the final against Ronnie and the final against John Higgins, he has moved the bar up on all the players. And I think you could tell by John Higgins' reaction, Ronnie in the commentary box, tweets from Mark Williams, people know that they are going to have their pot on to even compete with this kid if he does that. Where has he been? That was a good question. Maybe last October he had a bad start to the season and he took a lot of negative press. and he moved his brother to London where he practiced. And maybe it was just that knuckling down, having someone there pushing him a little bit, getting into a routine of practice. And not only that, it gets you into the routine for your mind. You're preparing your mind for those moments when you're going to play the big players. And the one thing that's been noticeable since then, he still had the ability to lose to outsiders. If you notice the World Championship, he nearly lost his opening match to Thetchier and Nu. He nearly lost to Ding. He was 9-7 down to Ding. But what he has shown, although he can lose to those players, and there's something obviously in his makeup that he's going into their matches probably not as focused, the minute he plays a top player, he is just like on it, and he has just made them look inferior. He's made them feel inferior as well. And the final performance, really, he'd not played that well until the final. And John Higgins, I can honestly say that I went to watch the first match of John Higgins, and I could see he was cueing well, but his game's been out of form. He's been out of confidence. So he's gradually played his way in, like he does cleverly. His last session against David Gilbert in the semi-final, John Higgins was emotional afterwards. And the reason for that was, I don't think he ever thought he was going to play his peak game again when it mattered most. I think he thought, well, I'm just going to be scratching around, earning a living. He's got a lot of class. He can do it with his D game, and he has done. But that last session against Dave Gilbert, he climbed. Quite similar to his last session against Neil Robertson. When the pressure came on, he played his best. So he went into the final. I think John Higgins actually played 3 or 4 blacks better than he had all event in the final, and he only won 9 frames. And that is testament to how well Judd Trump played. In that second session, when he took the game away from him, it was some of the potting was reminiscent of the animal that Alex Higgins was. There was almost some of the outrageous potting and throwing of his arm into the shot was just, it was special. And you definitely think from this season, Trump has got he's got another level, and if he continues to produce that, he can dominate snooker now going forward. If he can keep his discipline, keep his pull around him.
In a word, does Judd Trump add to the World Championship he won this year?
Yes. Yeah, easily. Easily.
Do you think he wins again this year? So what have we actually got coming up? What can the viewers of Sportsbet Daily get their teeth into?
Well, you've got some qualifiers coming up for the overseas events. Then you've got the World Cup, which is a national event. I don't know if Judd's going to play in that. So it's quite a quiet couple of months till the new season, when there's a big couple of events in China, and that's when we'll see Judd again. But you may not see Judd focused until the big events. I've got a feeling that Judd is going to subconsciously, like Tiger Woods does in golf, he's going to save himself for the UK Championship, for the Masters and for the World. And he's going to subconsciously try and do that. I think he's done it this season. And, also that's the other thing, professional sportsmen only have so many peak performances. Actual peak performances. Yeah. They can't do it all the time. So in a way, they do have to try and schedule themselves so that they can produce it when it matters most. So it's a quiet couple of months, but then you will have the World Open in China. That'll be the main one that starts it, with about £300,000 to the winner. That'll be in about 2.5-3 months. So, but up to then, we'll just have qualifiers, sadly, for the snooker. There'll nothing be, that we'll see Judd Trump in any case.
Yeah, the big thing is, though, Craig, I think that there's going to be plenty of value, because we've got the two boys, Wilsons. We've got, Gary Wilson, got Kyron Wilson. We've got David Gilbert. We've got the boys that are coming in from the Far East. We've obviously got the established players. I don't think in over 30-odd years of covering and watching snooker, it's ever been as competitive as it is now.
No, I'll tell you what struck me, Flash, is the standard of play has gone through the roof. And when I went to the Crucible, I played at the Crucible back in '91 against Tony Meo. And back then, the standard of play was excellent. I won't tell you, I mean, you know, people played really well. You had to play well. Davis was the world. I know Hendry was actually a defending champion. But what struck me was the actual standard of play amongst the players that actually lost and some of the ordinary players. Even I watched Gary Wilson next to the table of John Higgins, and I thought, my God, what a player! He looked like he was hard as nails, like Cliff Thorburn. People thought Cliff Thorburn was boring and all this lot, but what he was a really hard match player, and he had a most positive shot selection that would put other people to the sword. And Gary Wilson was the same. And like you say, if them players retain that standard, it's all about that, because the other players will then either have to raise theirs or they will wilt under the pressure.
Craig, I think we'll leave it on that one. I'm looking forward to speaking with you again on the snooker and obviously on the golf. Obviously, we've got the major this week. You have a great 4 days. We'll be following your tips. Hopefully, the viewers will fill their pockets up with money. But until next time, I'll speak to you soon. And
you, Flash. Have a good one.
Cheers, Craig. Thanks, mate.
Good night.
So now we're going to see you later. There's no getting rid of Craig, is there? There we go. This is the one I've been waiting for. Spreader Stare, how are you?
I'm doing great, Flash. How you doing today?
Well, I'm good. We've just got to steam straight into this. Does anybody beat the State?
No, I don't think anyone's going to beat the Golden State Warriors. And this conference finals, it's going to be kind of anticlimactic after how good the second round was. And the reason I believe that is because Portland, to me right now, the way they're constructed is kind of like a Golden State light. Great backcourt, not as strong in the front court. So they don't really have the weapons to attack Golden State the way Golden State might get attacked in the finals. And that's by going big, front court scoring, attacking the offensive boards, kind of attacking Golden State's weaknesses. But I don't think that Portland is currently constructed as the personnel to do it. Obviously Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum can go off and have great games, and they might be able to steal 1 or 2, especially in Portland where they play very well and they have a great home court advantage. But overall, I don't see how Golden State Warriors are going to lose this series, and they're going to be heavy favorites going into the finals as well.
Is there any value in the straight 4-0, get it done, move on?
Yeah, there is. I tipped -2.5 games, and that allows you, if the Golden State Warriors get bored for a certain game, which they've done. I mean, you remember against the Clippers, they lost the 31-point lead. It's happened in the past. I mean, it's funny, talk about a team blowing it off. That happens during the regular season. The Warriors have done it during the playoffs, which is crazy, but it's just kind of a testament to how good they are. So I prefer the -2.5 games. The 4-0, I'm a little worried that Portland gets one, game 3 or 4 back in Portland.
Okay, but on the other side of the fence, so we're already putting Golden State. I mean, I liken the Golden State to, obviously, I'm a big Patriots fan, and I think that they're the Patriots, and they're starting to dominate like the Patriots did, but obviously in NBA. But now, have we got the chance of a 7-game series between the Bucks and the Raptors?
Yeah, that's the interesting one, and that's the one that I'm glad to be talking about today. I think it's a fantastic matchup. You have pretty much the brightest young star in the game, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. I can't even pronounce his name. The Greek freak.
I'm glad
Giannis.
you said that. I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask you what you thought of him.
I mean, when I'm writing my articles, I copy and paste his name because I can't even spell it. But he's a 7-footer that moves like a point guard. Unbelievable. But if you look at defense, Toronto has probably the best defense in the East. I know Milwaukee is still statistically the best, but they also gave the best effort this year. Whereas Toronto, Kawhi Leonard sat out 22 games, load management, quote unquote. But I think when they put their minds to it, Toronto has the best defense, and they move and they switch well, which is what you're going to need to do, because no one's going to be able to stay in front of Giannis. So you're going to have to be able to rotate to protect the rim. And then the key to that is, can Giannis finish against the double team? Yes, he can. But what hurts you more is when he dishes out and then they hit the three. So while you're rotating, you also have to be aware of protecting the 3-point line as well. I personally think Toronto has the horses to do it. I think that they're sound schematically, defensively, and I think that at the end of the game, when you have Kawhi Leonard getting those shots that you need, in a close game, I think that that's an advantage that they'll be able to use and take advantage of in order to win the series.
So first game up, are we looking at an unders? Are we looking at that we're going to try and keep it tight and just make sure we don't go hell for leather and get a game behind either side?
Are you saying, should I bet the under tonight?
Yeah, I'm saying, what do you think the score will be? As in, do we think it'll be a complete and utter shootout and they'll just go hell for leather to get themselves one game up?
No, I think the under is a good lean here. I expect both teams to come out tight. There should be a filling out process, and wouldn't be surprised if we saw especially a low scoring first half. If you like the under, I might even play the first half under instead of the full game under. For the full game, my bet that I made today was I took the Raptors plus 6.5. I think it will be a close game. So when you're giving me 6.5 points in this situation, Raptors coming off that big win on Sunday. I mean, how much fun was that? They're rolling, they're ready to go. I know there's a lot of trends that say the well-rested team, does well in game one, but I think this is a case where Toronto's coming in, seasoned opponents. I don't know how much of a test Boston gave Milwaukee. So when they meet a team the level of Toronto, I think it's going to be a little tougher for them. So I like the first half under tonight, and I like Toronto plus 6.5.
And see, that really does go against the trend because obviously the Bucks 3-1 in the regular season against the Raptors. Can we look at them and think that they're going to just walk on and think that they've already got that edge?
I don't think that the Bucks will be overconfident. No, I think the one thing that you can count on from the Bucks this year, and they showed this during the regular season, is that they give 100% effort every time out. They don't take anything for granted. But one interesting thing to note, and even though the Bucks were 3-1, is that when Kawhi Leonard and Giannis both shared the floor, I think the Toronto was like plus 34 for all those minutes. So when they were both on the floor, Toronto did better. Now, obviously, during the regular season, they didn't put Leonard on the floor for 40 plus minutes like he'll be getting tonight. So I think that's something that you'll have to factor in that maybe didn't reflect in the regular season statistics.
Who goes to the NBA final here out of these two? Are you leading towards Toronto?
Yeah, I love Toronto at this price here. American odds plus 260. I got 3.3 on the decimal odds at Unibet. I think that's a great price. I think that Milwaukee should be a slight favorite, just due to the home court advantage and how statistically well they've done this year, having one of the highest plus minuses of any regular season team ever. But I think when you look at the specific matchups and the fact that Toronto can defend against Giannis and hopefully stop some of these, if they can get Giannis out of the lane and they can get him shooting jump shots and get the other guys to beat him, then I think Toronto has a path to victory. Whereas I don't see how Milwaukee is going to stop Leonard at the end of the game with the game on the line. I just don't see who they put on. They could put Chris Middleton on him, but I don't think he has enough to stop Kawhi Leonard, especially with the game on the line. So when we get down to those last 2 minutes, if Toronto can keep it close, I think they have a big advantage there.
Sounds like we're going to have potentially 6 or 7 games of unbelievable drama, and also we're getting Portland at a dog price right at the very beginning. Oh, sorry, Toronto at a dog price, and then you fancy it'll be Toronto, Golden State for the big one.
Yeah, that's who I'm picking right now. I took Toronto to advance, and I obviously took Golden State to advance, and I think that'll be a great series. I think that even if Milwaukee wins, I think that for the first time in years we have a serious threat to Golden State out of the East. Obviously, Golden State lost in 2016, but that took the huge convergence of events with Draymond Green getting suspended and Steph Curry not being 100% healthy. But I think that both these teams, the way they're constructed, can pose a big threat to Golden State because they can, number one, keep up with them shooting wise, and being able to match them three-pointer for three-pointer. And also they do have the bigs to attack the offensive glass, which I think is Golden State's weaknesses, which can be rebounding.
Okay, so wrapping up, I'm gonna go with Golden Warriors, Golden State, 4-0
Yep.
and -2.5. And I'm going to jump on and tell you with Toronto and unders. And we'll speak very soon to see how we're going.
Thanks for having me on today, Flash, and I'm looking forward to this game tonight. Last night, it was okay, cool, Western Conference Finals, but it didn't really have that playoff feel. But tonight, I expect it's going to be a great game either way, and hopefully Toronto can win straight up, and if not, at least they'll cover that 6.5 for us.
Brilliant. Lovely.
Thanks, Flash.
Cheers, spreader. I'll see you soon.
See you soon, Flash.
Okay, so you've been watching Sportsbet Daily. I've been Flash _37 on Twitter. Look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you.